Now, I am very excited to welcome back one of our sharpest guests, and Mr. Will Hill from Bear Bets VSiN and the Should Have Bet More podcast that's on a new link right now. You can follow Will on Twitter at not the Will Hill. Will, the day has come. This is the third year in a row, my man, that you are opening up week one. How's the summer treating you?
Oh man, the summer came and went pretty quickly. I will say it's weird to say football is back because I don't know how you feel. It feels like football's been back for a while. We've had a couple weeks of college. We had all this preseason. We have this weird gap between preseason and the NFL, but it feels like I've been watching football for months now. So to say football is back, it's just, I don't know. We've been talking about it so much. We've been watching preseason in college. It's weird to say it's back because it feels like it's been back, but excited to have it back for real.
NFL for real, I guess. Yeah, preseason's preseason. We bet that. We try to find our edges. We're wrong sometimes. We're right sometimes. It's all good. But college is already into week 2, and we already had a week 0. So you're right. Football's here. But man, I'm excited for this week because this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where contest season really starts, and I'm super pumped up for all that fun stuff, man. But going into preseason, I always like to ask, did preseason football change or confirm any of your opinions on any of these NFL teams?
It's a great question. Not really. I don't think we saw enough. I like the fact that since he played their guys more, I think they've been 1-9 in weeks 1 and 2 over the last 5 years. So clearly something had to change. Something did change. They played Burrow and those guys a lot more. So I liked that. But the teams, I think I'm a little higher on the Giants. Haven't seen them. Dart looks pretty good. You've got at least some capable quarterbacks. I think Carter will contribute right away. But I think if you're making too many judgments on preseason, you're probably doing it wrong. Just because, again, it's preseason, the defense. And look, I bet on it. I watch it. But you're seeing very vanilla defenses, very vanilla game plans from the coaches, both sides of the ball. So you can't overreact to it. But I think there were some takeaways from it.
I agree too. You got to just take very little from it that you get. And I've been, in the past years ago, I've made the mistake of thinking a team could be good or bad. One thing I did confirm, and I'm glad you brought this up, is I believe that the Bengals defense might be worse than I thought coming into the year because they are starting those guys. They're trying to win, right? And they look terrible in the first quarter and second quarter. And I'm thinking they're really bad. Now, I know they did make a 1-year deal with Hendrickson, and maybe that helps some, but man, that D was disgusting, Will. And I'm just, unless they're scoring every drive, this team could be in a little trouble. That's one thing I took away. The other thing I took away is the Saints are that bad. I think that, and that was more of a confirm. If you remember back when we talked way early in the summer, I thought the Saints were maybe the worst team. Well, that season win totals went down and down since we bet it, but it's they look like they're kind of trying there. I think the Saints are pretty bad, but it's week 1. It doesn't mean you can still spoil everyone's tickets.
No, absolutely. And week 1 is tricky. We've seen that in previous years. What was I think maybe the COVID year where Indy in Jacksonville won week 1, and Phil Rivers was the quarterback for Indy. And Jacksonville didn't win another game the rest of the year. They won as like 8-point favorites, and we saw a bunch of upsets that day. So I think you can go back and look at every year pretty much and look at week 1 results that just don't match the rest of the season. It's very, kind of incongruent with the rest of the season. You get some strange results week 1. I'm sure this year will be no different.
I agree. Any trade that really surprised you the last month or so?
I didn't think it would come to this with Parsons, and I'm not with everybody else, but I think the Cowboys just got completely ripped off. And how could you make this trade? You know what? You got a couple picks. You got off the contract. He's dealing with a back issue, which maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing. And you got a player along the defensive line. So I'm not with everybody else. I think that within the mainstream media, there's this sentiment to just pay everyone. Oh, he's good. Pay him what he wants. Pay everybody. I think that, look, it's just a very pro player media. And you know what? He's been in playoff games. I mean, think about the playoff game 2 years ago against Green Bay. Now he's his new team. They got 50 something points, 40 something points. He was nowhere to be found. A couple playoff games against San Francisco, he did absolutely nothing. It's not like he's been dominant in the playoffs. Again, he's a good player. Everyone would want to have Micah Parsons on their team,
Right.
but I'm just not with everybody else that, oh my God, the Dallas Cowboys just got completely wrong. Maybe they could have gotten another pick. Maybe they could have, but I don't think this was this heist that everyone makes it out to be.
I don't think so either. And, it's a situation where my initial reaction thought it was, and then I'm like, here's the thing: why does it's a weird time to not pay the guy just because how good he was, and you just paid Dak and CeeDee Lamb, and
Right.
you're not in rebuild mode, you are in win now mode, and then you don't pay the most important guy of your defense, which is your pass rusher. So I thought that was just the weird part about it. But as what they got back, I do agree it could be good. And if Parsons was going to be injured, and that, of course, you can't see in the future what would happen, then it would be good. But it's all speculation. But I did think, like you, after looking at it more, that they got a decent amount back. We'll see how it turns out. But it's just a very strange time to do this. And I thought the Bengals and the Cowboys are screwing around too much with their best defensive guys, and I do not like that whatsoever. The trade that surprised me the most was Adam Thielen. I just don't understand what the Panthers are doing, trying to get better. You need that veteran presence in the tight end or the wide receiver pass catchers group, and now you have just a bunch of young dudes, and they're none of them are proven. But Adam Thielen was the guy I thought you could rely on to try to have, a 6-win season, 7-win season, something better than last year. And I just thought that was weird. I don't know why for a 4th round or a 5th round or whatever they got. Just that one blew my mind a little bit.
I think it helps Minnesota too. That's a nice fit because he's not. But last time he was on Minnesota, it was him and Diggs, and it was that was a really good wide receiver duo. They were fun to watch.
Oh yeah,
now he can be more of a complimentary role, veteran, just kind of underneath, safe kind of option for a young quarterback. When they have Addison and Jefferson, and then you got Thielen, who just wily veteran, knows how to get open, reliable. I think that could be a nice safety valve for a young quarterback.
Agreed. I remember how good he was with Diggs, and it's just now with the Addison suspension and the Rondale Moore injury, it made total sense for the Vikings. I thought the Vikings did great on that. Buy low, sell high. Just real quick, any teams that kind of you're just disagreeing a little with the market, even at this point late in the off season, I'd say.
I think that San Francisco is a team that everyone just kind of pencils into. They're going to bounce back to what they were before last year. Last year was just injuries, kind of forgive it. And I like Purdy, but I'm not so sure. I know the schedule's easy, and I know they're well coached and they have talent, but I don't know how good they're going to be on defensively. Salah will help, but I think they lost a lot. A lot of talent went out the door defensively. And look, that's what happens when you pay your quarterback. You can't pay everybody. And they had a couple years with Purdy where he was basically free. That's not the case anymore. So as the defense gets worse and the offense starts to get older, McCaffrey's 29. McCaffrey touched the ball 65 times last year, 4 yards per carry, did not get in the end zone once. I don't know that he's the player he was 2-3 years ago when he was a viable MVP candidate. Kittle's older, always banged up. Trent Williams is older, always banged up. Ayuk's already hurt. I know Pearsall's has a chance to be a good player here, but can Purdy, with a lesser team around him, step up and carry a team more than just kind of be a passenger? And again, he's a player I've liked. Nice little kind of point guard, accurate, moves around, just a crafty little player. Can he carry a team to 10, 11, 12 wins like some people think? Again, I know the schedule's easy. I just worry the skill guys are a little older, a little beat up. And look, they played in 4 NFC title games in a 5-year stretch. Unless you're the Chiefs and Mahomes, or unless you have Brady, these windows don't stay open forever in the NFL. And I would just worry, not only they were in 2 Super Bowls too, they had double-digit leads in both Super Bowls and couldn't get either one home. I just kind of worry that San Francisco missed their window. Would it shock me if they bounce back and win 9, 10, 11 games? No, because they're talented. I would just be a little bit careful assuming with all of the question and age, especially on their offense, that they're going to do that.
Well, absolutely. And not only that, they were 29th in defensive rush EPA last year. You mentioned their offense struggling at wide receiver with all those injuries. That's a great one. That was probably my favorite one that you just said. I'll just go with the Patriots. I just don't think their win total should be that high. I still think it's a good one, a tough roster. I'm going to be targeting them in week 1, at least from a teaser perspective, and we'll get into that. But I will sell high in the Patriots. I just don't have a lot of belief in them. And I don't know if there's a lot of buy low left for me. I think we've extended enough of that. But for the sake of time, Will, let's get into these games, man. And real quick on tonight's game, I know a lot of people will get this show tomorrow. I guess if you have a prediction, we can be right or wrong. I just did a prop play for this, and that's it. I do understand that it went to 8.5, and the market is still at 8.5 at DraftKings. That's scary because it's like, the contrarian in us and the division trends that say week one, the division dogs are great in week one, but man, I'm scared to bet the Cowboys.
So am I. For what it's worth, Dak has actually played pretty well against Philly. 4 out of his last 5. The Cowboys have won with Dak at quarterback. He's 9-4 for his career. So again, it's different teams, but those are pretty good Eagles teams along the way that Dak and the Cowboys have beaten. You figure Dak and with Pickens, and I actually like Pickens. That's probably my favorite pop in this game is Pickens over 55.5 yards in a game script where they're going to be losing, they're going to be trailing, they're going to be chasing points. I could see Pickens having a big night. 55.5 looks a little light. I usually tend to go more unders than overs with these props, but I like Pickens over. I lean towards the Cowboys. I'll share picks. Our buddy Steve Fezzik, who I believe you had on the podcast a couple weeks ago talking contest. He likes to play these. It's a good angle. At DraftKings, you could bet Dallas fourth quarter plus 2.5 with the thinking if the game script follows and Philly has a lead, they're up 10, they're up 14, whatever. Philly's just going to be in run the ball, move the chains, run the clock, where Dallas is going to be chasing and trying to score and getting that 2.5 in the fourth quarter where, hey, if they tie, you win. That's a big edge. So for people that are listening before the game, Dallas plus 2.5 fourth quarter, I think it's a solid bet.
I love that, man. That is a creative way of doing things. Fez does come up with a lot of creative stuff, man. And he's a great market analysis guy. And this is what I expect out of him. Stuff like this, like out of left field. He does some corny stuff sometimes, but then sometimes he just nails it too. And I love that play. And it makes total sense to me. And I'll be looking for that one. I just, I mean, it's going to be a top survivor pick because, obviously if there's a big upset, more people will go in the circuit survivor, which,
right.
I got a little bit pending on that for the year, but it's one game that I don't want to get too involved in. And unfortunately last year, Will, this Cowboys team sucked before Dak got injured. If we remember, they are bad. Yeah. And so that's kind of my little bit of worry. It looks like there's a chance for thunderstorms, which could change things. But speaking of different, turfs and stuff, in different situations, we now have a Friday game and it's the Chiefs at the Chargers, and the Chargers are about +3 dogs. I mean, it's kind of been bouncing from 3.5. The Chargers have had some injury woes in the preseason. The Chiefs just kind of not too showy in the preseason yet. They didn't look great, but anything on this one?
Didn't play anything yet. Lead to the Chiefs. I think if I had to play anything here, it would be the over. I don't want to overreact to a one-game sample, but last year in Brazil, it was Packers-Eagles. It was 34-29, 63 combined points. It was very hard for the defenders to get their footing. So that, I think, helps the offense just because the offensive player knows where they're going and the defensive player has to react. Also, I think the Chiefs and Mahomes have, not just because of the Super Bowl, but that partially because they got blown out in the Super Bowl. They've had a couple of these years where kind of winning with defense, they kind of win ugly. It's a lot of checkdowns. I think there's going to be a renewed emphasis on, all right, let's get back to being the Chiefs and scoring 30+ points. Seems like they're better on the offensive line. We'll see. Seems like they're maybe better at receiver, especially once they get all their guys healthy. Better offensive line, better receivers. I think a renewed emphasis of, all right, let's throw the ball down the field. We have Patrick Mahomes. We don't need all this dink and dunk stuff. So again, that's some narrative stuff, but you got Mahomes, you got Herbert. I think the total is relatively low considering those things. So I could see, what are we looking at? 45.5, 46. I could see a 27-20, a 28-24, that type of game. I would look towards an over here.
Well, that's great as long as it happens in the second half because I got the first half under this one.
Oh, you do? I don't like that. I don't like being on the other side of you.
Oh, I hate being on the other side of you, but it's the first week. And here's the thing. I just think they feel each other out, but this is why I'm not taking the full game under. I think these teams can kind of just light it up in the second half. And you're right that last year's game did go over. That worried me a little bit. I look at the history of these two teams head to head. The last 3 went under. The 4 before was a push, but if they do change back into what the Chiefs had, because they do have a guy like Worthy now, then all bets are off. But I just feel like these two teams kind of were methodical, especially in the Harbaugh time. So I unfortunately like the first half under, but they both can hit. So let's go, baby. Let's get past that middle. Let's move on to the next game. And that would be, I got to get rid of my college. Giants, Commanders. Commanders is -6. This has kind of been 5.5, 6, total 45.5. I could have swore that Circa was going to move this thing down to 5.5 for their contest, but they didn't. They kept it at 6 for the millions that just came out, my friend. And if you're not in the millions, get in right now, get to the Circa. If you're driving distance, anywhere 10 hours, get over there. We got plenty of proxies. Get that thing. There's going to be a big overlay. But, for me in this situation, I didn't bet it. But if I had to bet it, I bet the Giants.
I like the Giants. This is one of my favorite plays this week. These teams met twice last year. Washington won both games. And think about this. Washington, including the playoffs, Washington won 14 games, went to the NFC title game. Giants had the second pick in the draft. So you got the high of highs, the low of lows. Washington beat them twice. They beat them by 5 and they beat them by 3. They didn't cover this number in either game. Both games were close. They won by a combined 8 points there. And Giants were -2 in turnovers in those games. Plus, you're going to add Carter to the mix. And I just think, look, Washington, great season, 12 wins, won a couple playoff games. That's a dream season. If you want to poke holes in it, though, they were very good in close games. They won a lot of close games. And look at the quarterbacks they faced. Andy Dalton, Trey Lance, Cooper Rush, Deshaun Watson, Kenny Pickett they beat when Hurts got hurt, Daniel Jones twice, Spencer Rattler. It was really a fortunate slate of opposing quarterbacks, and I think that led a lot to their victories here. So I think Washington probably wins the game, but I could see them winning by a field goal here. So I'll take those points with the Giants.
Remember that playoff game against Goff, and when that guy put his helmet into Goff's chin, right into his head, and he throws the pick 6. That changed the game, and that should have been a call.
Yeah,
that should have been a call.
Yep,
and don't get me wrong, that the Lions defense was in shambles by then too. It's not like they could stop them, but this was a momentum shifter, and that should have been a call. And I do agree this could be a big sophomore slump. I am scared for my power rating on the Commanders. I try to take them down as low as I can, but it keeps bringing me to this number. So That's why I did bet it myself. But dude, it would be Giants or nothing for me. And I'm still considering that for a contest play myself. Let's move on to the Bengals Browns. How ugly is this game? Browns plus 5.5 at home with a total of 48.5. I think we already talked a little bit about my thoughts on the Bengals.
I'll take the Browns plus the points. I'm going to be boring here. I'm not going to lay points. I don't think really in any of these games. I don't see a reason to lay points. We don't know that much about these teams. We can think we know. We can talk ourselves into opinions, and we have our power ratings, and we have all our takes. We'll see when the games take place. What's what, and we often get surprised in week 1, and we don't know as much as we think we know. Since he's been bad in week 1, they've lost 3 in a row. They've lost 4 out of 5 in week 1. I mentioned 1-9 the first 2 weeks of the last 5 seasons. I'll take the points here, and I'll give you one. If you're looking for a little plus money, I think plus 375 is the number I saw for Flacco to throw for 300 plus yards when he was with Cleveland 2 years ago. I remember at the end of the year, I think he had 6 starts, and 5 of the 6 he threw for 300 plus. Game state where they're trailing, shaky Cincy defense. I could see this being a backdoor game where, since he's up 27-17, something like that, and Flacco's got the ball and he comes in and throws a touchdown to you make it 27-24, that kind of game. So Flacco at 300 plus at plus 375 is worth a bet, and I would only look towards the Browns here.
I'm thinking, do I bother betting it now, or do I wait to try to see it get a 6, Will? Because I'm on your side here completely. You broke it down well. I think Flacco throws a wrench into this. I think this Cincinnati offense is terrible. And just because they played their starters in the preseason does not mean anything changes, in my opinion. Do you think I get a 6? Do you think there's enough public money to drive this thing to a 6?
If you have enough books and you're willing to sit there and stare at the screen Sunday morning, and who isn't, you'll probably get one. It's week 1. Public's itching to bet. I do worry a little bit in terms of like hoping to get a 6. I do worry a little bit like the Bengals' struggles in week 1 have been so pronounced that maybe that keeps people off it. But public money is public money. I'm sure before the Thursday night game, money's going to pour in on Philly and over and Hurts over and Barkley over and the Bengals. People want to bet chalk. There's a lot of recreational money in the market week 1. So I would expect you probably get a 6. Maybe it doesn't last long, but I'd expect you probably get a 6.
All right. Well, I'm gonna wait it out, but I'll tell you this: it's kind of, there is pressure moving up 5. Bet online's 5. Kind of a sharper little offshore book over the last few years. Bet online, but I will say that I will. I'm gonna wait it out too, and I have no rush to get into this. It could be a contest play at 5.5 though, because I have no other choice. Let's move on to the next game. We have the Cardinals at Saints. Saints plus 6.5, total 43.5. And I'll just tell you right now, I bet the Cardinals at 5.5. It's now 6.5. semi-key-ish number right there. Down 14, go for 2, get to 6. I mean, that could definitely happen these days. Coaches know a little bit more about those statistical anomalies where you have to go for the 2 after scoring the touchdown to get close. I'm like I said, I'm scared of the Saints because it's week 1. But if this was week 7, I'd be laying it all day again with the Cardinals. What about you?
I just don't know. Just from a betting instinct standpoint, laying basically a touchdown on the road is usually reserved for the elite teams, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Eagles, the Ravens. Are the Arizona Cardinals really in that, on that level? I know since the Saints are going to be bad, but who are the Cardinals to be laying 7 on the road? I could only look at the dog or pass. I will ultimately pass. But as we're talking this through, which is a good exercise, what's a team total here? 17.5 for the Saints. Are the Saints going to score 20 points in this game? I would think not. So instead of laying the 6.5, I'd probably just go team total under, just because barring turnovers or pick sixes, things like that, I don't know that the Saints have enough offense to basically get to like 3 touchdowns here with their quarterback situation. So if you're going to look at Arizona, I'd probably, instead of the 6.5, I'd probably just prefer to go team total under with the Saints. It's a little rich for my blood.
Yeah, if they get to 17, you need to get to 23.5, which is 24, because you have to get to 24 no matter what. So you're up 20-17. You might kick a field goal because they stuff you. You win by 6. All bets are off, right? It's
right.
like, and you could have won that team total, which is actually minus 108 right now on DraftKings to the under. It's team total. So great call, Will, on that. I love it. I love the way you think like that, my man. Moving on to the next game. We have the Steelers at the Jets. Jets are like a juiced +3 at minus 115, total 38.5. Jets just lost a key cog, deep offensive lineman to injury. Justin Fields looked good the first game and looked terrible the second game in preseason. They call this a revenge spot for Rodgers, but I don't even know how that's possible. It's like Rodgers got hurt. Was he pissed at? I almost feel like this is more of a Justin Fields revenge spot than that. But it's one of those home dogs that are just sticking out. At the same time, when they're non-divisional games like this, sometimes the favorite does cover in week 1. I'm scared of this game, Will. I'm staying away.
I'm a stay away too. I like the under. I think the Vera Tucker injury is huge, especially when you have to block that front 4 of Pittsburgh. Plus, all right, Fields is out there, and you could say revenge game and all the narrative stuff. Pittsburgh probably has a pretty good book on Fields. This is a guy they benched last year. They probably benched him for a reason. They know what he likes. They know what he doesn't like. Tomlin's a pretty sharp defensive mind who's been around a while. I like the under. I just think that, I think it was last year, the opener Steelers-Falcons was like 18-10, and Pittsburgh won with 6 field goals. I think, 4th and 2, Pittsburgh, they're not one of these analytic, aggressive teams. They'll kick their field goals. They'll punt. Aaron Glenn's a defensive-minded coach. He'll probably be pretty conservative too. 4th and 3 near midfield. A lot of teams will go for it. I don't know if these two teams will, which it just becomes a field position game. What are we looking at? 38.5. I could see a 20-17, 19-16 ugly kind of game. So I would look towards an under here.
That's some ugly stuff right there, my friend. Yeah, it's ugly or nothing for me. And you're right. It could be a big defensive battle with some quarterbacks that, you think are, come in hard, but they're going to come in with a little jitters themselves. Bucks at Falcons. Falcons now down to 1.5. This was at 2.5 a little bit ago. This was a teaser leg for me, Will. So obviously just get that right out of the right on the board right now. 46.5 is the total in a dome in Atlanta. It's got a little juice to the over. I can see a lot of weird stuff in this game, but I just think that laying points on the road against a pretty good Michael Penix is a lot to ask.
I like Atlanta here. I think pretty much toss-up teams. Give me the home team. Give me the points. Remember, Atlanta swept Tampa last year, even though Tampa won the division, and that's with Cousins. And I think Penix is better than Cousins. So, to me, just completely, you could throw a blanket over these two teams. I think they're basically around dead even. Atlanta's got a good home field. And keep in mind, week 1, a lot of these teams are going to have good home field because these fans are enthusiastic. They're going to be loud. Everyone's excited. Everyone's undefeated. So tough to win on the road. Dome, that's a loud dome. To me, close game. I'll take the points, the home team. I like Atlanta here. I don't think Tampa should be laying points here.
Yeah, I think it should be pick 'em myself. The true give Temp the little respect that they do have the Baker Mayfield and a better coach right now. Raheem Morris scares me enough to
Oh
not
gosh, I
bet
know.
on him, dude.
I
Yeah,
know.
that's the whole thing. It's like, yeah, it's like halfway through the NFL season, I'm kicking myself, thinking, why am I not betting on coaches? I tell myself I'm betting on coaches every freaking year and fading coaches, then all of a sudden I go away from it, and this is what I get. So that's the only thing that scares me in that one, but it makes sense. Raiders, Patriots minus 2.5, total 43.5. I'm waiting until this gets to 3, Will, but I like the Raiders in this situation. I think the Raiders are a better team. I think Geno Smith's a better quarterback. I think they right now have the better coach. And now I don't say Vrabel's a bad coach, but Vrabel, I just feel like a little inexperienced to be coming to a new team when it feels like, Pete Carroll's got his quarterback that he already quarterback for, coach for so many years out in Seattle. And Genty's, there's gonna be a lot of hype on that, and this could be a little rainy out there from what I'm seeing too. So if that's the case, I like the run game of the Raiders better than the Patriots, especially from a defensive side, because the Raiders
DraftKings did have a 3. I was on one of the shows the other day. I was like, oh, I like the Raiders plus the 3. I didn't bet it. I missed it. I hope we get a 3, but yeah, to me,
it was minus 118. I think it was like minus 115 or 118. And I thought to myself, dude, on Sunday, all that Patriots love that I'm talking about, I feel like that's gonna hopefully knock it back. Will,
again, I think these are pretty even teams. Home field is not worth 2.5 anymore, so it would be dog or pass. And I'll give you a prop here. Pete Carroll, old school coach. They picked Genty 6 in the draft. He believes in running the ball. As long as the game doesn't get away from the Raiders, and I don't think it will, 16.5 carry seems a little light. I could see Genty getting the ball 20 times, 20 handoffs. I like over 16.5 rush attempts for Genty.
Wow, okay. They'll be working that rookie if that's the case, but I do agree with it too. And especially if it rains. Panthers, Jags now minus 3.5, the total 46.5. I feel like that Thielen news might have helped move this more. Well, I took this at minus 2.5 in like July or whatever it was. And now I have to start thinking the other side, I hate to say, and because of all the reasons that you say about good old Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I have my hopes for Trevor Lawrence and team and Liam Cohen coming in, but it's another rule that I did break, that I don't bet on new coaches coming in. And here I did, breaking the rule one time, and but I also could buy back if I want at 3.5. So what are your thoughts on this one?
Pass. I like, and I think I was on this 2 years ago. Maybe I think it was 3 years ago when everyone loved Lawrence, and I came on and I said, you know what? I don't see it with Lawrence. I don't buy this idea that he's generational. He's had his moments. For the most part, that take is aged well. That being said, he's got some receivers: Brian Thomas, De'Ami Brown, Hunter. I think he's got some weapons here. Carolina was terrible defensively last year. I think it comes down to this. What do you make of Young's last 6 games where he looked like a legitimate, I don't know, average, maybe slightly above, slightly below, but an average-ish quarterback, which is leaps and bounds ahead of what he was the rest of his career? I don't know. I'm more pro Bryce Young than I probably thought I would be. So I passed the game. I'll give you a prop though. Young's passing prop is 214.5. I'll go over. Jacksonville was dead last year in yards per game allowed through the air. I think like 260. They were last by a pretty good margin. Young threw the ball well at the end of last year. And plus, Jacksonville, I think, is going to be able to score. And if Jacksonville can score, Panthers have to keep up. So that 214 passing number looks a little low. I'll go over there with Young in the passing prop.
Yeah, at the end of the year, they won 2 out of last 4. They lost to Dallas, and they beat Arizona in overtime.
Lost to KC in overtime, which was respectable. Played Philly pretty close. They were respectable the last 6 weeks.
They were respectable. And I just think that the teams were fatigued, and they see the Carolina Panthers, and they just kind of put it in relax mode. And that's what they get to them. I'm not believing in Bryce Young and the way they start out the last few seasons, 47-10 against the Saints. And then remember, after the Saints beat the Cowboys, we thought the Saints were good, but holy shit, were we wrong last year. I'm
sure you remember this. Saints were favored by 3 over Philly. There might have been some 3.5s, but Saints were 3.5 point favorites over Philly in week 3 to show you how weird week 1 and week 2 can be, and to show you how people overreact. Just think about that. Saints favored over the Eagles last year.
Unreal, man. Dolphins, Colts. I got nothing. I actually lean Dolphins because everyone's on the Colts. I feel like just like with the Cal Bears, the news is all BS, and they're going to be just fine when they get on the field and play.
I like Miami. I think the issues people have with Miami are legitimate, but there's like three things. They don't play well in the cold weather. They play terribly when anytime it's outdoors late in the season, cold weather, Thanksgiving against the Packers, they struggle. They struggle against really good teams. They just can't step up in competition. And they're always hurt. And it's not just Tua. Waddle's always hurt. Hill is always hurt. But none of those three concerns are really at play here. Hill seems to be good to go. He missed some time in training camp, but he looks like he's ready to go. Waddle's healthy. Tua's healthy. You don't have to worry about the weather. You don't have to worry about playing an elite team. Remember, it wasn't that long ago where this Miami team, their offense was lighting the league on fire. I mean, 2 years ago, they were pretty deep into the season on pace to be the 1 seed. So I just think they're better than the Colts. You're getting the 1.5. I like Miami. It is a weird game, kind of flying under the radar, but I do like Miami here.
Certainly is a weird game, and I'm not there yet, but I'm really leaning hard towards Miami, and it could be like, wow, this Danny Dimes does suck, right? I mean, that's what you're dealing with. It's like, can you be excited about Danny Dimes in a new team in this situation? No. Titans, Broncos, I mean, 8.5. Will, my number's 10.75 from a power rating side. Ooh. I didn't bet it. I teased the Broncos down, and I teased them when they were 7.5, not 8.
It's got blowout potential. Ward, rookie on the road against what is going to be a great defense. Everyone loves Denver. I worry maybe it's a little too much with Denver. Yeah. So I can't lay this many points. It will be Titans or pass. I do pass. And I will say this, though, a couple props. In a game where Denver's supposed to win the game and win it comfortably, is Bo Nix 31.5 passing attempts? Is he really going to throw the ball 32 plus times? I like Nix under 31.5 pass attempts. And I think Harvey, I love Harvey, the rookie running back from UCF. 34.5 is his rushing prop in a game where they're probably going to be running the ball and nursing a lead. I think that's a little low. So Harvey over 34.5 rush yards, Nix under 31.5 pass attempts. Lean Titans, but I pass in terms of the side. I think if you're going to bet anything, again, probably a team total with the Titans where look, Cam, this is not Miami. You're not playing Wake Forest and NC State anymore. This is on the road, in altitude, in elevation against a nasty defense, loud crowd. How many points are the Titans really going to score? Even though I think the Titans, I'm sure you probably see the case for some positive regression with how bad they were special teams last year, how bad they were turnovers. There's a case for Tennessee being a little better, which is why I don't want to lay it, but I stay away from the side.
Yeah, I mean, 42.5 is a low total for an 8.5. Oh man, God, it's almost like, do this Titans are expected to score? I wonder what that team total is. Got to be pretty low. Yeah, I mean, no disagreement here. The Broncos are statistically should blow them out, but this is once again week 1. Niners at Seattle, and this is a plus 2.5. Dogs screaming out. The question is, do you believe in Sam Darnold, Will?
I don't, especially new system, shakier offensive line. He went to the perfect system last year with good weapons, a good coach, good offensive line. Everything was perfect around him, and it looked good for a while until it didn't. I passed the game. I think Seattle is probably a good teaser leg. I would go I would go under on McCaffrey rush yards. I mentioned it earlier, 65 touches last year, no touchdowns, 4 yards per carry. Veteran player, maybe they pace him a little bit. I think his number, I don't want to quote shop around, but look for the best number you can on McCaffrey under. I want to say it's in the 80-ish range. I would play under on rushing yards. I just think it's inflated based on his reputation.
Lions plus 2.5 on the road against the Packers, total 47.5. I'm taking the Lions plus 2.5 minus 105. I think this just only gets worse and closes at 2. I don't think there's enough love for the Packers. Jordan Love did not play in the preseason because he was hurt. There's all kinds of new receivers there. I think there's going to take some time for them to gel. The Lions are coming off a horrific playoff loss, and they're probably just aching to get back on the field. I don't think the coach advantage is to Detroit. I love Campbell as a motivational guy, but it doesn't mean that their next two guys aren't going to step up. And I think that just embarrassment has been written on this one. I think the Lions win the game outright, but I'll take 2.5 points all day. I don't think it gets to 3, and that's one of my plays.
I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. People have told me to just shut up about it, and I probably should, but you're my friend, and I will say it anyway. Most teams defer when they win the toss and decide to play defense. They choose to play defense. The Packers usually take the ball, and the Packers took the ball in the preseason. Packers first quarter is like minus 130. Packers to get the first down is in that range. Packers to score first. I know FanDuel has first quarter player props where, Goff is like 47.5 first quarter passing yards. If they don't start with the ball, now look, Green Bay can go 3 and out, and all this stuff is worthless. I get that. But if Green Bay gets the ball first and has a 5-6 minute drive, well, how long is Goff? Is Goff going to be on the field long enough to throw for 50 yards? So look for the Packers in terms of our first quarter, but we got to keep that one a little bit quiet so people don't catch on.
Well, they better score. LaFleur is good
Yes.
at definitely drawing up a first drive. I mean, they do get points usually when they do that. And so I do agree with that. And it's a great find by you guys. I think I might have heard you on another show mention that too. And I did halfway expect it. So there you go. Love it. I just think the Lions still win. Next game, Houston Texans versus Rams. Rams -3, total 43.5.
Don't have much here. Would look towards the Rams. Don't love this Houston offensive line. Don't like them on the road. I hate bad offensive lines on the road. I think the Rams are just the better team. That being said, there's just enough uncertainty around Stafford in his back. I'd probably, if I had to play anything, Stafford under passing yards, just because human nature. Aren't you going to probably be a little bit careful with Stafford with all of the back concerns? Are you going to really want him going out there, throwing it 40 times, getting hit a bunch of times, or, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 3, you could run or you could pass. Aren't you going to opt to probably run the ball a little bit more? So I'd look towards Stafford unders. I pass the game. I just think there's too much uncertainty. I think the Rams are better when healthy, and I would lay it. I just don't know with all the time that Stafford missed. Just feels wrong to lay points here with a quarterback who's been banged up.
I like the Texans +3. It's one of my favorite plays, even though
interesting.
It has a low confidence level. All of week one has a low confidence level.
Yeah,
but it's probably my favorite. It's like the tallest short guy, right? I just think that people are sleeping on him now. All you hear is bad things about the team. Not even a year ago, this team played the Chiefs really hard in the playoffs, and those awful roughing penalties and 4th down just got them. And I just think that we forget they were unhealthy at receiver. You forget how many injuries they had at receiver. Nico Collins, Diggs right away. They're playing with nobody, and this defense was still top 6 EPA. The Rams were 23rd EPA in defense. They had one guy, Jared Verse. Even their offense was 21st in EPA with all those issues. Now, Joe Mixon injury, but Chubb. We forget how good Nick Chubb was for the Browns. He's going to be fine out there on the Texans. I just don't give the Rams much of a home field. +3. I'm taking +3, man. And the whole Stafford missing training camp and practice could be real rocky. New playmakers on offense. Yeah, I'm taking 3, and it's probably one of my favorites. But hopefully you don't disagree too much. You didn't bet it, so that's one thing. Ravens Bills, we're two more games left, and I know we do have to go. Ravens Bills, I'm staying the hell away from this game. I know a lot of people love the Ravens because they've been aching all year, but this is also the Ravens that lose week 1 a lot. So I don't know.
Ravens team total over 24.5. The Bills are already dealing with a bunch of injuries in the secondary. I know that's not really the Ravens' MO to drop back and throw it 35, 40 times and pick you apart, but it still is a former MVP at quarterback, a banged up secondary. That means you probably have to protect the secondary, which leaves you open to the run. I just think Baltimore moves the ball well here. So this is another game. Both teams have been favored by a point and a half at certain points. Whoever the dog is a great teaser leg, but I think Baltimore scores here. If I had to pick it, I'd pick Baltimore to win. But with good weather conditions, a shaky, beat-up Bills secondary, and all the weapons Harbaugh and Lamar have, I like over. And I think Harbaugh is just a better coach than McDermott, a more aggressive coach. He's not afraid to go for it 4th and 2, 4th and 3. Hell, he's not afraid to go for it 4th and 2 on like his own 30, which I like. You know what? I'd rather trust Henry and Lamar and my offense as opposed to just giving the ball away. So I think the coaching edge goes to Baltimore. So Baltimore would be my lean. Baltimore team total over would be my best bet here.
I'll give you a bold prediction. The team score last wins, Will.
Yes,
obviously with this, right? No, I great points, all great points. The Bills can afford to drop this game too, but there's Allen's the ref there. I don't like him. There's just a lot to not like, and I do see all the questionable guys in the Bills secondary, but it's also Josh Allen, the best playmaker in football, against maybe the second place best playmaker in football against Lamar. They're both like almost really 1A and 1B, to be honest, but it's going to be the best game to watch for sure. I'm glad it's going to be on Sunday Night Football, and I'm very excited for it. But to be honest with you, I didn't even tease the Bills because I don't know what the hell's going to happen in this game. How about my Bears against your Vikings for Monday night, my friend? I think neither of us really like to brag about being fans of these teams. As a matter of fact, we both hate on our teams more than not. and I agree with that philosophy. I have the Vikings winning this game by 3, but I didn't bet it. I was looking at the under, and it did go down to 43.5. But here's the problem with the under. I feel like Brian Johnson has always been able to score against the Vikings. I think back about the Lions always getting 30 points. Maybe it's different with Caleb, who gets sacked all the time, and we'll have the jitters. And even though it's at home, this is a game I think I'm just going to watch.
First half under, if anything, for me. Young quarterback on the road with McCarthy, probably be a little conservative. Caleb Williams going against Brian Flores. That's probably, he's probably advantage Flores there, probably be a little bit conservative on the Bears side. So I could just see, 10-10 at halftime, and then who knows what happens in the second half. But I don't have a feel for the side or the game total. I would lean under for the game. If anything, first half total under, I think like 22.5. It's like a key-ish number where if it's 14-7, something like that, you're still under. I like the first half under.
Most likely 5.5 favorite or more to lose the game this week, Will.
I'll go Washington just because I mentioned all the lousy quarterbacks they played last year. The games against the Giants last year were close. Giants turned it over 2 more times than Washington. So I think that one can never be shocked. Divisional game if you get an upset there. So I'll say Washington.
I'm going to go with the Browns beating the Bengals. I just think a lot of bad karma with the Bengals trying to change things. Terrible coach. I don't even like the Browns coach that much, but I just think Allen's worse. It's going to happen again, man. Flacco's going to be Flacco, and it's just going to be one of those what the hell scratch your head games. And that moves me to the beer bet bangers. I'm going to put some beer money on the Bengals to win outright, and you can call it a money line sprinkle because I do plan on betting the Browns at some point, most likely, if they get to the 6 especially. But, plus 195 right now is my beer bet banger. Any little plus money action you like this week for a beer bet?
Nothing this week, but I will give you, and it is available at DraftKings. It wasn't available everywhere. RJ Harvey is 150-1 to lead the NFL in rushing touchdowns. Sean Payton loves to run the ball. They used a high pick on him. They've got a very good offensive line. They've got a good team. At 150-1, who the hell knows? I could see Harvey. I love this kid's talent. I think he's a stud. Again, I like the situation he's in, a run-heavy team with a good line. I think 150-1 is you buy a lot of beer with 150-1, Kiev.
Oh, you can buy a ton of beer, man. Bet 1 12-pack, you get 150 12-pack. That should cover your beer for at least 2 months, my friend. That is a lot.
And who knows? Maybe he gets 3 in week 1, or he's got 6 after week 3 or 4, and then you get a cash out. So maybe you've mentioned this strategy before, where you divide it into 2 little bets. One you're going to ride out. One you're going to take a positive cash out at some point if it comes. But I do think 151. I just think that's a little bit mispriced considering his talent and the situation.
2 6-packs, there you go, or 2 12-packs, however you want to do it. Yeah, let's split that baby in half, cash that thing out later. Harvey might have the lead, and I think he takes over as well. That's why he's being drafted higher in fantasy drafts than Dobbins or anybody else on that team. So I totally agree with that, my man. And what else I agree with is following this man. He's all over the place, Mr. Will Hill. Some of the greatest shows on VSiN. Will, can you tell our listeners and viewers where you can get your great information?
Yeah, I'm on VSiN throughout the week. Live bet Saturdays, 3 to 6 Eastern. And then the Should Have Bet More podcast. Check out my articles at Fox Sports. And I think that pretty much covers it, man. So enjoy it, man. NFL is back. And the thing about the NFL, man, you blink and it's like week 6. It goes by so fast before you know it. College basketball will be starting. So enjoy it. Thursday night games, Friday night games, all the action on the weekends. And it's just one day leads to the next. It's the best.
Make sure you guys follow Will Hill. Will, best of luck in your bets this weekend.
Appreciate it.